So welcome back, everyone. And who are we talking to? Matt Osborne, and he is a sales manager of Desert Financial. Welcome to the show. You got to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and who you are, because Desert Financial used to be Desert Schools.
We don't say that anymore.
We don't even say
took the
it.
schools out.
They took it away, and I happen to be with them. So it's funny that I met you and I said, why don't you come on my show? And here you are. So welcome to the show. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you do, because you're in the wills and trust area of what you do. Welcome to the show.
That's right. I work in the Wills and Trust Department at Desert Financial Credit Union. Still trying to get used to saying that. I've been with Desert Financial for 15 years, and I've been in the Wills and Trust Department for 10, and I manage 14 people. And in the 10 years' time, we've helped over 15,000 members and non-members alike prepare their legal documents.
Amazing, because I would think that most people don't know that Desert Financial would even do that.
That's right.
They don't know that. Let's talk about that for a second. Go ahead.
I think that when you look at some of the bigger banks, when you look at those big names, they do offer estate planning services, but it's usually for their high-end depositors. So we're really proud of the fact that we prepare legal documents for all of our members as well as non-members of the community. And I kind of like to think that we prepare documents for the common man.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. So it's anybody. You don't even have to be a member, and you can go through your services?
Absolutely.
So that's pretty cool to know. Now, what is your phone number that you want them to call? It's 602-695-9104. So we're going to be sending that information. We are also live on Facebook again right now.
Right.
And I just want to say hi to everybody. Thanks for watching the show. Keep on watching and listening, and follow us, like us, and after the show we'll be sharing it with everyone as well. So in recent weeks, the Arizona Republic has featured articles about probate court and how the lack of preparing simple legal documents has traumatized families. Oh my God, is that like a new thought? I was traumatized when my father passed, and that was it. Everybody is. I don't know anyone that doesn't, because somebody gets the short end of the stick. Go ahead.
Yeah, and in the feature article a couple months ago was really about a couple that they weren't even passed away yet. The wife had a severe dementia problem, and she was going into a nursing care situation. Unfortunately, she had an individual retirement account. Actually, that's fortunate, but the problem was that was her account, and she was no longer able to communicate her needs. And so the husband was trying to access that account to pay for those medical expenses. Turns out that through a lengthy probate process, it was a modest account. It was a $25,000 IRA, and they spent over $8,000 to get to that account.
Wow, so that all of that money really went for no reason, just because their papers weren't in order. Because
yes.
And it was sort of like the same thing. You have to get that done early, because you never know when something's going to happen.
Absolutely, and it's a really simple form. It's a financial power of attorney. It's a simple form that says I allow my spouse to be able to sign my name, and if my spouse isn't around, then I have a backup person to do the same. That is a very powerful document. It carries a lot of weight or a lot of power for somebody, so you definitely want to name people you trust, but that simple document alone could have saved him a lot of heartache, a lot of money, a lot of grief, because they ended up having to go through what's called conservatorship. And that's really probate court for the living. And it was very costly for them to have to do that.
Now, will you work with anyone valley-wide? Does it matter?
Absolutely. I manage a team of 14, and we have people all across the valley at every Desert Financial location that can meet with you and give you a customized education session.
Do they do consultations? Are they free? How does it work?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that sets us apart, is that we sit down with you and go through your desires, needs, wants, your assets, and figure out a plan to make sure that you understand the difference between a will and a trust, and that we do that in-depth education for you so that you really have a firm understanding of which document you really want and what you really need.
What makes it different by going to you as being Desert Financial as opposed to going to somebody else that does? They have attorneys and things like that.
Sure.
What's the difference?
Sure. I think that you have a lot of options for attorneys that do this. You have options that are online. I kind of think we're the nice go-between in the middle. We're going to give you a customized treatment, one-on-one, face-to-face, go through your assets, explain all the documents in detail, and we're going to guide you through the process. We're also going to help you get the documents executed properly by witnesses, notaries, recording the proper documents like your property deeds. So I think we're a lot better than a do-it-yourself online, and a lot of times we're going to be more cost-effective.
And now, the number to call, you want to call direct at 602-695-9104. And just, they'll do a consultation with you to find out. Again, I know a lot of people have heard me say this. My father passed. And when he passed, my mom had already passed. And so it's very important. You can even think that everything you have is all done correctly, which I'm sure he did. And it wasn't.
Absolutely.
And that is what is really sad, is because somebody had the power and he gave the power, and what happens is that if he knew now, he'd be turning over in his grave. And if he knew, he really would be.
And I think what makes it even harder is that you lost a loved one, and so it's emotional on top of the fact that you have to go through a bureaucracy to get to the asset.
It's really sad. So again, that number is 602-695-9104. So when people start to get older, typically in their late 70s and 80s, is it a common practice to just add their adult child to their bank account and home, or is this a good way to transfer assets to your family?
Yeah, I think a lot of times we get the question of, I want to add my adult son or adult daughter to the house so that if I pass away, it's theirs, especially when there's a widow situation when the husband passed away and now the wife just says, I'm going to add the boy to the house. He's an adult, he's responsible, and I'm just going to put his name on the property or put his name on the bank account. It's a common desire. Unfortunately, that comes with some pitfalls. Namely, if you've had that house for a long time and there's equity in it, you're going to make some tax ramifications there, not only for yourself during your lifetime, but when you actually pass away, your children won't inherit the price of the property at your death. They inherit it when you add them to the property. So they lose out on some tax benefits.
And so there's always reasons to talk and find out what's the best situation for each one of you. And they work with people individually and on a one-on-one basis. They're here to help. It's Desert Financial. It's amazing credit union. That's who they are. So it's not just they've got the big guns behind them as well. So again, their number is 602-695-9104. So many people tell me that a living trust is much better than a will. Is that true?
It really depends. It maybe yes, maybe no. And I think that a lot of people just want that quick answer of, is a trust better? I hear from my friends a trust is better, so they come in thinking they need a trust. And it just really depends. It depends on your goals, depends on how many kids you have, it depends on how your kids get along. There's a lot of factors that actually make a difference. So if you want control, you want to make sure that maybe you have an adult child that can't have a lump sum, that might be an option for a trust.
There's so many reasons, but can you have both, or should you have both?
So technically, if you have a trust, you do have a will, but the will is really only serving for one function, and that's to collect any assets that aren't in the trust. So really, in most cases, the discussion is, do I need a will or do I need a trust?
So again, that number to call direct at 602-695-9104. Before we go to a break, I kind of want to go over a couple of different things with you. What is the first one mistake that you find that people do? You've been doing this for a long time.
Yep.
And what's the biggest mistake that you find that people do?
I think the biggest mistake is that they just collect information from maybe friends, maybe clubs that they're in or friends that they gather, and they hear that one thing is better than the other, or they think something's a good idea, and so they do that without really getting education.
What do you think about people doing it online?
So there's some great online options. I think we've all heard of the common websites out there that provide legal documents. I think the common thing that I see is when somebody does an online document, oftentimes it's not executed properly. It doesn't have the proper witnesses. It doesn't have the proper notaries. And sometimes people aren't aware of what they should be doing to actually make the document legal. So they prepare it online.
That's exactly what happened in our case. There was a perfect good thing, and it was great. It was perfect, and my dad sent it to everyone, and it was like, okay. And so when the time came, I came up and I said, well, wait a minute. What about this letter that Dad wrote? And, he typed it up, which but he didn't sign it. I mean, he typed his name. He didn't sign his name.
Right.
And there you go, right there, right? And he didn't, and there wasn't a date, so it wasn't notarized. But he thought that was fine, and he also thought he had that, the sons would do the right thing,
Exactly.
right? And they don't. So we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk further a little bit about some of the different things. Again, this is Desert School, I'm sorry, I said it.
Gotcha.
So it's Desert Financial Credit Union, and that's what they're calling it now. And they're big time. They've changed it. They're really excited about it, and they've loved been able to come on here and talk a little bit. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about what we should know. Again, that number to call them, it's 602-695-9104. Hang tight. We'll be back in just a minute. So welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Matt Osborne. He is the sales manager of Desert Financial Credit Union, and which is neat that you're here. I remember meeting you and at an event, and when I saw that you did this is obviously you're in the wills and trust area. I just couldn't believe it, and I think I'm going to open it up with that not many people know that they can go to you for that.
Yeah, it's a really unique niche for the whole community, members and non-members alike. But it's a lot of people don't know where to go. You got the yellow pages, you got attorneys, you got online options, but this is a kind of a nice niche for us to be able to offer this service.
And again, I want to stress it's for non-members as well. You don't have to have an account there in order to do this. Is that correct?
That's right, but we don't know why you wouldn't, because we've been around for 80 years and we're local and stable.
And the other thing is that it makes sense also if you're going to have somebody who is taking care of all of your important papers, that one of those important papers happens to be your bank account, right?
That's right, and I think that's another unique thing that we offer. When we prepare documents for folks, we actually do two signed copies, because they take one away in a fancy binder, and we keep a live legal backup copy at our corporate office. We have it scanned electronically, so it's not one of those situations that if you lost yours in a fire or a flood that you're wondering what attorney you went to and where it is. We have that copy, and Desert Financial will be around.
Right. Now, again, you can call them direct. That number is 602-695-9104, and you work in all of the offices. And how many offices do you have out there?
So there's 48 locations across the valley, and I manage a team of 14, and we have 8 folks in the field, and we cover every single branch.
Now, do they usually come to you?
Most of the time, we have folks that come to a branch and set an appointment, and we have that consultation that we carve out time for you for your personal consultation. Every now and then we do calls to. Unfortunately, sometimes people wait and delay, and we're in the hospital helping somebody prepare documents.
It's amazing. So a simple financial power of attorney could have avoided a lot of emotional heartache and money. What about the need to prepare a healthcare power of attorney? Is this necessary for a husband and wife to have for each other?
Yeah, I think that when it comes to healthcare decisions, husband and wife have certain surrogate powers to talk to each other or talk to the doctor for one another. When it comes to this crazy law called HIPAA, I think a lot of people understand or have heard of HIPAA, but it's a privacy act that our government put out in 2001, and it restricts even a husband and wife from having the actual medical records. If, let's say, your husband's in a hospital and you want to transfer him and you want the records, without a proper HIPAA release, you may not get those records from the hospital. And so you definitely want, even as a husband and wife, to have medical powers of attorney set up for each other.
But you even said children to me.
Absolutely. The minute your adult child turns 18, you cannot get their medical records.
They think that they're adults.
That's right.
And that you can talk to them like a normal adult, but you can't. But
That's
also,
right.
Half of the time, I find this, people out there will probably relate. My daughter, who's 22 now, right, and she will be in school when she has to be able to talk to them, and so what do you do?
So it's one thing if your daughter had appendicitis and she stumbled into the hospital, they're going to put a form in front of her and say, "Mom talks for me," and then they're going to go into surgery.
Right.
If she goes in unconscious, she doesn't have that ability to say Mom's in charge. So you definitely need to have, as soon as your child turns 18, is a power of attorney on medical, so that Mom and Dad have that power. They're going to get the bills anyway, so you might as well have the power to make those decisions.
Well, that's a true statement. 602-695-9104. Okay, so let's go a little bit about some of the different things. So as you mentioned to me, there are a few common myths about trust. A typical misconception is that a trust will protect your assets. Is that true?
Yeah, I think that is a number one myth. A lot of folks come in and say, I want to do a trust because if I get sued, I want to make sure all my assets are protected. And typically the trust that we prepare is called a revocable trust, which means that you're in charge of your assets. You can still sell your property, you can manage your accounts. And so in a revocable trust that you control, you're not protected from a liability situation. So you still need to have your homeowner's insurance, your auto insurance to protect your assets. And sometimes as you grow your assets, you may even think about an umbrella policy to protect if you're really worried about liability.
Wow, so there's so many different reasons why you need to talk to somebody. Your consultations are free?
Absolutely.
So they're free, and they have, 44 locations throughout the...
48.
I'm sorry, I was wrong. 48 locations throughout the valley, and they do free consultations. And it's through Desert Financial Credit Union, which is really neat. Okay, so people have many options to prepare these documents. What sets you apart?
I think that the biggest thing that we've been discussing is that Desert Financial is a very established institution. We've been here almost 80 years in the Valley, so it's a trusted organization. I think that's first and foremost, that you can go there knowing that we're going to give you great service that you're expecting out of the credit union. And I think that to me, it's the customized education. So we're not going to say you need a trust, you need a will. We're going to say, tell me more about what your assets are. Tell me about the family situation. Tell me about your goals. And then we can explain to you how a will would fit that particular goal and how a trust would fit the goal. So we're gonna customize that education for you specifically.
Now, they also might think, though, the cost of something like this. Let's just talk about it a little bit, because when you're dealing with a bank, you're thinking it's more. What would be the difference?
So we actually, our marketing department actually does on a routine basis, looks at the market and evaluates what the costs are out there, from everything from online to attorneys to other legal document preparers like us. And we know that our pricing is right in the middle of the road. We're not the highest guy on the block, we're not the lowest guy on the block, but we bring a tremendous value to you with the way we prepare the documents, the way we give you the education, the backup copy that we keep. So we think that the way we execute the documents for you is really first class.
What about second opinions on yours? Because here's another thing is that a lot of people have done them. They say, oh, I've done that. And that was a long time ago.
Sure.
How often should they be updated?
So first I would say that if nothing in your life has changed, it's a good idea to come in every 3 to 4 years to dust that document off. When you first sit down with us, we give you good education. And then you put that on your shelf, and then it collects dust, and then you're like, why did I do this? So every 3 to 4 years to remind you about, is your plan really on target, is a good idea. And then certainly if there's ever a life-changing situation, if there's a death in the family, if there's somebody goes off the rails, so to speak.
A divorce, or,
God forbid, one of your children chooses some paths that you don't care for, then it's a good idea to come in and relook at that plan.
It is. It's a very important thing to do, is to make sure that you have it to what you want it to be, and also to make sure that it's done right. I think that's something that I try and tell everybody out there, please, please, please don't do it yourself. It's really not a good idea. And even if you do have it done with somebody, maybe have a second opinion done, just because what you think is done right, it's not always done right.
That's right. We definitely take great care to look through your documents and make sure they're executed properly, and really talk to you about how do you have your accounts set up to match your plan. Because if your accounts don't match your plan from a beneficiary or a titling situation, then your plan is really useless. So we take a lot of care to make sure all your assets are matched up.
And also, you said that you keep them on file, if I'm not mistaken. And so if you do, does that mean, let's say, one thing I always thought about, like, where are they going to find it, even though I might tell them, right?
That's right.
Or it's on I might say it's on my computer, you'll know where to look or what have you. You actually keep a file so that they can actually go to you at that point, because I know it when your parents pass, your mind is not all there.
It's a little frantic time for sure and emotional. And so, yes, so we have that backup copy. We have it electronic as well as a live legal wet signature, so to speak, a second copy so that we can provide that to the loved ones if it comes up missing.
Again, they do these free consultations. They have 48 locations throughout the valley, and they're here to help you. And you never knew, but here you're listening on Networking Arizona, and you are hearing that Desert Financial Credit Unions, they do financial, it's actually your wills and trusts, and that's what they do for you, and you had no idea. What would be your final words for everybody today?
I would say that don't put the plan off.
Don't procrastinate.
That's
We've heard
right.
that how many times today?
I don't know how many times I can tell you where I've gotten a phone call and now somebody's in the hospital and now we're signing on the dotted line almost in duress. People are stressed and we don't want that. We want you to get your plan set up before it's too late.
Before something happens that you really would be turning over in your grave if you knew it was. Again, that number to call them direct is 602-695-9104. Don't forget, we're going to be doing our television show coming up. That's going to be happening at the end of July. You're going to be hearing lots and lots and lots about that. That's on Channel 7 AZTV on Saturdays from 11 to noon. And we'll be doing the taping coming up this week. Real excited about it. Networking, it makes a difference.